Welcome to Joke Story Trick Live with Michael Kent. I'm him. Let's go. Welcome. What's up, everyone? How's your week been? It's beautiful outside right now. It's been beautiful outside for like 3 days. Tonight, we have an awesome show. I mean, awesome. We've got a great guest, good jokes, a story that I'm super excited about. And our story tonight, from what I understand, has to do with pranking a friend. So, if you've ever pranked a friend, let me know yes or no in the chat. Type in the chat if you've pranked a friend. It's good to see everyone here. Hello, Christopher Morrow. Welcome. Welcome everyone who's tuning in to watch. This is our 21st episode, but not really, because I started this thing as like a 3-minute YouTube series way back when. I started it doing 3 minutes of a joke, a story, and a trick, and then when the pandemic hit and we were all quarantined inside, I decided to turn this into like a live stream show that I could do for 40 to 45 minutes and started opening it up to guests and other people suggesting jokes and everything else. So, right now we are live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube and on Twitch. So now is the time to select that link. If you're on YouTube, copy the link, share it to your whoever. And if you're on Facebook, just click the share button, start a watch party with your friends. However, if you do a watch party, the comments there won't get posted here. You have to watch on the video itself in order for the comments to work. It's been a crazy week, right? It's been a crazy week. It's a new week now. The protests are continuing. We're seeing huge protests all over the country and really all over the world. And I don't feel like these huge crowds are getting the reaction they deserve. I mean, these are some of the biggest protests in history in this country. If you saw that one in LA, holy crap, the drone shot that was flying over, it's really cool, very impressive. And I hope that this creates some sort of impact to enact lasting change, something real, something that we can take away, police reform, and whether, even if it's just a greater understanding that people have of their community and the people that live down the street from them. I hope something happens with all this. It can't lead to nothing. I mean, this is huge what's happened. So it's pretty cool. There's been a lot of turmoil, but change hurts, and this is gonna hurt a little bit. For us white folks to talk about it, it's going to be painful, it's going to be uncomfortable, and we did that a little bit on the show last week. If you haven't watched last week's show, you should go back. I made a little statement about Black Lives Matters, I made a Black Lives Matter statement, and I also made a statement about Columbus and what happened there. And so go back sometime after this show and watch that. Anywho, I tried to talk about it best I could. So, crazy news this week. I'm going to try to stay lighthearted on this show as much as I can. Obviously, there are times that call for more of a serious week, more of a serious news week or whatever you want to call it. But this isn't a news show. This is a fun show. So I do have some fun stories. These are kind of crazy this week. First of all, I'm just going to put this up. I don't have much to say about this, but a Spanish porn star was arrested after a man died doing a mystical toad venom ritual. Now, mostly I selected this for the headline because you are never going to see a headline like that again, my friends. Spanish porn star arrested after man dies during mystical toad venom ritual. That is a whole bunch of crazy words all packed in to one spot. And actually, I think I have this guy. Let's find a... I looked up the toad ceremony. That's what I was interested in, was the toad ceremony. I wanted to know, like, how does something like this happen? I wanted to know, like, if I wanted to go and lick a toad, what's going on here? We got the wrong thing. We don't want that. We got Carissa's Zoom in here. And there we go. Perfect. So anywho, I wanted to know exactly what we had to do to learn about this toad. So check this out. This is the ceremony. It cost about $222. And first of all, here's some warnings: flashbacks and or reactivations, intense release of emotions, either positive or negative, depression and anxiety, realizations of your maladaptive patterns of behavior and the need to change various parts of your life. I mean, that's kind of a good thing. Here's things that might happen during the toad ceremony. They might pour water on participant's face or in a participant's mouth to stimulate a breathing or swallowing response. What the? Can administer very small electrical shocks with a toy to keep a participant from lying down during the peak. That does not seem appropriate. Not sure. Anywho, so this porn star is into this thing, this idea that there's one particular type of toad that secretes this type of poison, essentially, and you can lick this toad, but that's not what they do. They concentrate the poison off of the toad, and they release the toad back into the wild, right? So it's like a sustainable high or whatever. And then apparently you get a huge 15 to 20 minute hallucinogenic trip from this toad. And someone died doing that, all because of this porn star. So there you go. His name is Nacho. That's the dude's name is Nacho. That's the porn star's name. And I did handpick that picture just because I thought it went really well with the story. So here's another headline for you. Man arrested after walloping a guy who dared to call him Drew Carey. Of all the offenses in the world, all the things that you could do to someone, someone called him Drew Carey, and he got pissed and he beat the dude up. So that happened. I think I have some more news on this. Oh yeah, the police have now released that man's identity as 62-year-old man from Cleveland, Ohio, named Drew Carey. Of course, that's not true. The dude's name was Brian, and that's what he looks like. That's the real dude, who people thought looked like Drew Carey. Of course, you put those glasses on anyone, and they look like Drew Carey. If you have this guy doesn't even have blonde hair. I feel like if you don't even need blonde hair. If you just have those glasses. And like hair that's kind of like that, and a little bit, cheeks like mine, then that's what happens. You get called Drew Carey, and then you beat someone up. Here's another one. This is good. This is Pat Robertson, who we love, right? Of course. Pat Robertson attacks Donald Trump's stance on sending troops against protesters. It isn't cool. You all know who this dude is, right? This is the old religious dude who goes on TV and says crazy shit. And I heard from a friend recently who said, the one thing that convinced his mom to finally not vote for Trump was this photo op that Trump did in front of the burned out church, where he had people tear gas protesters to clear, like these peaceful protesters, to clear them so he could walk across the street, pulled a Bible out of Ivanka's $1,500 handbag and held it up in a weird way. I'm not going to even give him shit for holding the Bible up weird, because he obviously doesn't hold the Bible very often, probably no books very often. Anywho, but that was enough apparently to sick those troops against him to get Pat Robertson on. Do you know how wrong you have to be to get this dude against you? To get this dude to say it's not cool? This dude? To get this guy to say that it's not cool, you have to be super, super wrong about something. So let's do some lighter news. This is a lot of fun. Korean baseball team putting stuffed animals in seats changes everything. Look at that picture. That is absolutely wonderful. That is some good stuff. Let me see if I can find this story. Korean baseball team. Where'd this one go? We don't have that story. It's okay. So I feel like from now on, don't we just have to do this with all empty seats in stadiums? I always bitch because I'm an Ohio State Buckeye, and in Ohio, at Ohio State, they sell the seats right behind the home bench to like faculty and staff and tenured professors who either don't use the tickets, don't give them to someone else, or go up to get like their drinks in the little club, the Huntington Club or whatever, during the game. So they're never so whenever you see a shot of from the 35-yard line to the 35-yard line on the home side, it's a bunch of empty seats. Let's do this. Let's get a bunch of plush toys. Let's get some SpongeBob's and some, I don't even know what all of those are. I see a Pokemon, maybe a Mickey or a Minnie, and let's throw them all in the seats. Let's fill the whole stadium. That's going to make life better. That is a real life solution. So that's the news for now. So I'm drinking tonight a Cosmic Void, courtesy of my buddy Matt Brockway, who just joined us in the chat. It's wonderful. This is a great, great beer. Stephen Michael Patrick says Brutus. Yep, we need pandas. We need Brutai. We need Pandai in all of the but they have to be different. I think that's what makes that different. I want to look at that again. That's what makes this picture different. Look at that. Look at all the different. There's big ones. There's little ones. They look like they're real. They look like real life people. They're all different colors and they're just happy because obviously plush figures always happy. You know what? Let's get into this show. It's time for some jokes. Oh boy, we got good jokes this week. Here's a good one. First guy, there's three guys that are going into an interview, a job interview, and the first guy goes in, he kicks ass. Best job interview he's ever done in his life. At the end of the interview, the guy who's giving the interview leans in and he goes, "By the way, do you notice anything weird about me?" And the guy said, "Well, yeah, you don't have any ears." "I'm sorry," said the interviewer. "I'm really sensitive about my ears. I'm afraid you're not the right person for this job. Get the hell out of my office." So, second guy goes in. It's the same thing. He's doing amazing. It's the best job interview he's ever done. He even negotiates more than the advertised salary, right? Like $10,000 more. At the end of the interview, the interviewer goes, "By the way, you notice anything about me?" The guy said, "Well, yeah, I noticed you don't have ears, but it's not a big deal or anything." Interviewer goes, "I'm sorry. You were great. It's just, you're just not right for this. I'm just really sensitive about my ears. I'm sorry. Hopefully, maybe best of luck to you." So third guy is about to go in. The first and the second guy, they're both in the lobby and they see this guy and they go, "Hey, if you go in there, don't say anything about his ears because he will throw you out and you won't get the job." Doing the guy a solid, right? Third guy goes in. Again, same thing. Amazing interview. He just kills this interview. Absolutely solid. End of the interview comes around. Interviewer says it. He says, "By the way, you notice anything weird about me?" The guy looks in. He leans real close, squints his eyes. He says, "Yeah. You wear contact lenses, don't you?" "Whoa," says the interviewer. "That is very, very perceptive of you. How did you know?" "Well," says the guy, "you sure as hell couldn't wear glasses." All right, that was my joke. Let's that's so dumb. All right, we got a few people watching. Thanks for coming in. One of the things that I do during this show is I like to let other people tell jokes. And so throughout the week, you all can submit jokes. You can go to michaelkentlive.com/jokes. And when you do that, there's a form that you can fill out. It's super easy. You can submit your own jokes that I can read on the show. So for the last few weeks, or for the last few days, I've allowed people to send me some jokes. So let's look at some of our jokes. We have Christopher Morrow gave that joke a thumbs up. We'll give it a thumbs up here. Okay. Guest joke number 1. This is from show regular Mark DiTullio. Mark has come to every show that we've done here. A 40-year-old man asked the trainer in the gym, "I want to impress beautiful girls. Which machine should I use?" The trainer replied, "Outside the gym, there is an ATM. Try that."
Boo! Boo!
I didn't like it. All right, let's keep going. Sorry, Mark. Next week. Try again. Let's see. Heather Cabell. "How do you turn soup into gold? Add 24 carats to it." Okay.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all.
But we'll give it a thumbs up because it's her first time it's her first time submitting a joke to the show. Let's do this. Ooh, I like this one. I like this one. Guest joke number 3. We cannot allow this year to end. That would be admitting that 2021. That's clever. I like that one. I like that one.
Ha! That's funny.
Okay, let's see. Last guest joke here. A German dude jumped into freezing water to save my precious little dog who was drowning. After he climbed out, he handed me the dog, and he said, "Here is the dog. Keep him warm and dry him off, and he will be fine." I said, "Are you a vet?" He said, "Vet, I'm fucking soaking." Yeah. Yep.
It was pretty goddamn hilarious.
That's the joke of the week. That's the best one I got out of all of them. So one more time, I'm going to put this on here. Let's put the graphic up. You guys can just submit a joke at michaelkentlive.com/jokes. I'm also going to put it in the chat. Let's see. How do we put it in the chat? There we go. Of course, when I do that, it doesn't go onto the Facebook chat, so I've got to do that somewhere else. Let's go onto the Facebook chat, and I will allow you all to... Here we go. I'm going to type it. If someone just wants to type it into the chat, that would be cool, or I'll do it. Here we go. Boom. There it is. You can submit your jokes there, and I hope to have some of your jokes this next week. That helps the show go. I really do appreciate everyone who has done it. And if you are watching on YouTube, everyone, please do me a big favor and subscribe. So if you subscribe, make sure you click it. Also, there's a little bell that'll let you get an alert every time that I have a new video come out. So you can do that. I think that now that we've done jokes, it's time for a story. I get asked all the time. I get this question all the time. People say, do you ever lose your luggage? Because I travel a ton under normal circumstances. And it's true, I do. I travel a ton, and I do lose my luggage. Happens a couple times a year. Usually it happens on the way home. And the reason for that, the reason it happens on the way home is more often is because I change my flights on the way home more often. Sometimes it's like I want to sleep in, or, you know, it's easier to change a flight on the way home than it is to getting to a show, because getting to a show, I'm normally time-strapped. So, I have a list on my phone. When I show up and my luggage doesn't, and I have to do a show of everything that I need to buy to be able to go on stage and do a show that night. So, and I've had to do that. But I learned a lesson from my friend Steve Klein, who I sort of had an apprenticeship with when I was a young kid. He taught me a lot about the business. He said, pack enough in your carry-on to be able to go on stage and do a show. And that's what I always do. So I have a carry-on that has at least 45 minutes of material. So in 2012, I did a Christmas tour with a group called the Kelly Bell Band. Awesome soul blues band out of Baltimore, Maryland. And they became great friends of mine. We were like fast friends. We hit it off. And when I showed up in Japan, however, my luggage did not. So the first couple shows I had to do, and I was just opening for them. I wasn't the headliner. I was the opening act. So I only had to do 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. And it was no problem doing that. But we were basically on our own airplane after the second show, because our first two shows were in Japan outside of Tokyo. After that, we were going to get on a C-130, our own C-130 for the week, or for 2 weeks. And that C-130 was going to take us from island to island, 10 to 18 hours a day we were flying. In 12 days, we logged 56 hours in that C-130. It was horrible. The tour was great. It was great fun, but the conditions inside that C-130, you can't hear anything because it's so loud. Even with headphones like this, you can't hear anything. So you basically just have to read. You can't talk to each other. It's freezing cold, so we were all wearing winter jackets with sleeping bags over us. And there's no seats. You're in like strapping, just strapping and sitting sideways. So, and that for 10 hours a day. But if I didn't get my luggage by the time we got on that C-130, I wasn't going to have it for the entire tour. And I remember what happened. The second show was in Atsugi Air Base, and we did the show, and we went out for drinks that night at a karaoke bar. completely forgetting that I didn't have my luggage. I had completely forgotten that day that I didn't have my luggage and I needed to get it. And if I didn't have it the next morning, we were wheels up at 5:30 in the morning. If I didn't get it, I wasn't going to have it ever. Like, I just wasn't going to get it back because we weren't coming back to Japan at all. So we go out, we have a good time, we have some drinks. I'm half drunk. I get back to the hotel and I had a whole bunch of messages from them trying to deliver my bags. They had been trying to deliver my bags starting from 8:00 p.m. It was now midnight. It was after midnight. And they had been trying to deliver my bags all night, but they couldn't get on the base. They didn't have permission to get onto the base to deliver my bags to the hotel I was at on the base. So for some reason, I had the foresight to get video of this. And for years, this was in 2012, for years, I've thought that the video was missing or gone. I didn't know that I still have the video. I found it today. I literally went through some old disk, like external hard drives that I have, like backups, and I found the video. I can't believe I found this. I hope that you enjoy it. Let me see if we can get to it. Oh, no. Here we go, and I hope I have it. Man, that would be a big buildup if I didn't have it. There it is. So I just realized we got back to the hotel tonight late, and I've got messages on my answering machine, and there's 5 missed calls. They've got to be trying to deliver my bag that was still in Chicago. So we've done 2 shows out of 6, or 5 or 6, something like that. And let's listen.
Let's leave a message to Mr. Michael Kent. Regarding your missing baggage, we already arranged delivery to you in the Katsugi, and but the delivery company unable to get inside the military base. So you need to come to the main gate for pick up your bags. But you are sure when are you coming back to your hotel? Tuesday, 11:04 p.m.
Now, the airport's like an hour and a half away. So they have to drive an hour and a half to Atsugi from the airport. That first call was from like 8 p.m. or something.
Tuesday, 11:30 p.m. This is Mr. Ken, United Airlines Osaka speaking. Delivery driver is still waiting at the gate, and he has to leave Atsugi base soon. So wondering are you are back with your room or not? Shit.
Fuck. Alright, so the driver already left Atsugi base, which is where I am. So we're gonna have to call United and get him to come back. It's now midnight, after midnight. They were here just less than an hour ago. And I've got to call and see if I can get them to turn around, because we have to meet to load the airplane tomorrow at like 5:30 a.m. So I've got 4 hours. Hopefully we can get that case. This is Michael Kent. Yeah, I'm at Atsugi. Atsugi base? Yeah, yes. Okay, is he still... Okay, I can go to the gate if he comes back. Okay. Yeah, so the driver already turned around and is headed back to Tokyo, which is, he's an hour away. I need to have it tonight. It's like the next hour. So they're gonna call me. He's gonna turn around and he's gonna call me whenever he gets back on base in an hour, which will be 1:30. So I realize this is like the dumbest thing ever, but I'm really kind of stressing out about this road case getting here. It's just one case full of stuff that are just props. The multiplying martini bottles and a marker board, and there's like
the props for the chicken trick are in there, so I haven't been able to do that. Hello? Yes. At the main gate. Okay, can you tell them that I will be right there? Okay, I have to walk, so it'll be a while. Okay, bye. All right, main gate. Here we go. All right, the gate's here.
So I got my bags back and I had them for the whole tour, but I can still feel that that feeling of getting back to the room and being like, oh shit, they've been trying to deliver my bags all evening and I haven't been there. So when I finally got them, when you saw me finally back in my room with my coat on and everything, that was probably 2 in the morning. 2 in the morning, and we were wheels up at 5:30. I probably had to be there at 4. So that was a very close call, and since then I've continued to lose my bags, and I still will. It's time to introduce you to tonight's guest, who is ready to come on the show. Carissa Hendricks is a magician from Calgary, Edmonton area in Canada, who is amazing. She's taken the magic world by storm these last few years, and that's because she's a hard worker and she's smart. And she has done a ton of character development, specifically with her Lucy Darling character, which you all can see. I'll put a link up later to a video where you can see Lucy Darling. But Carissa is a director, a writer, and she's been a circus performer. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records with all this stuff. I'm super, super excited to bring Carissa on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carissa Hendricks. What's up, Carissa? How are you?
I'm great. It's my day off from helping my father move out of our childhood home. So I've been drinking coffee. And
that sounds like an incredibly sad thing to do.
It would be sad if it wasn't so grueling.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have energy to be sad. That's great.
Exactly.
All the coffee in the world. And you're in Canada, so that means it's like tomorrow there? Is that how that works?
Well, because we're north, we're like in a similar time zone parallel. It's not Europe. We want to be Europe. We desperately want to be Europe. But
just to get away from the US further? Is that why?
I don't even know. I just think that Canadians have glorified Europe and European sense of humor. And so now we're just like, we want to be like cool, like Europe.
Yeah.
But we're actually much more like America.
Further east, and then they pretty much just are Europe.
Yeah, so. Well, you just made a lot of really great friends in Montreal by saying that.
Okay. Yeah,
you have so many couches to sleep on now. Anyone will take you.
Fantastic. I feel like anywhere in Canada I go, I would have a couch to sleep on. Canadians are just so nice.
It is pretty nice. It's nice to be. I've been touring through America the last 2 years, and I haven't been back in Canada much. And even though things are crazy and they're locked down, I'm here at a hotel, and even the hotel staff it's so different than it is in America. And you forget until you come back here and you go, oh yeah, we're weird. We're weird people.
We're strangely nice. It's in America, I guess it would be the same as going from like staying in like a hotel in New Jersey and then going to like Minnesota and staying in a hotel in Minnesota, where it's like, why are you talking to me? And it turns out it's just because they're friendly, just like because they're a good person.
Well, it like down to the idea that there's like, so because there's nobody in this hotel. It's just me and like 4 pilots, and that's it in this 4-story crazy hotel. So the front desk people know who I am, and my dad shows up every day to pick me up so we can kind of go through stuff. And my dad's very chatty, so they know my dad. So they'll call me instead of my dad texting. He'll come in, talk to the staff, they'll call up to me in my room and go, "Hey, Carissa, are you up? Your dad is here." And I'm just like, this is like a four-star hotel.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be like writing each other postcards after this. It's gonna be great.
Right? Yeah, I've become really good friends with the front desk staff. So yeah, it's just different. It's very weird. It's very small town, goofy, adorable.
I would love to go to spend more time in Canada. I've only been a few times, but not to get too far off track here, but as I was telling the story just now, I was remembering hearing about, you had a lost luggage story as well, didn't you?
Yes, I also lost my luggage. Not as great of an ending as yours.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry to bring it up then.
No, it's fine. Was I in the UK? I don't remember. Yes, I was in the UK. I was overseas. And it was with Norwegian Airlines, and I'm happy to say that because they were jerks and no one should fly with them.
All right.
And
I just lost them as a sponsor. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, good.
They're not sponsoring live streams that 10 people watch currently. They should.
So I had flown back, and I was going to the Chicago Magic Lounge, and then I was doing the Magic Castle right the next week, and then the next week I was doing a week in Nashville. So I had this like chunk of shows where I needed my stuff. And that was when I was still working on the Indulgence show. Indulgence is like the theatrical show I wrote. And the pieces that I was touring were going to go in that show. And I hadn't quite figured out what the arc of that show was. And so I had two big checked pieces of baggage because I had a little bit more material than I needed. And I had just been to Abercorn and to this convention in the UK to Tricks and the Sticks. So I had bought while I was in London, I bought 10 or 12 postcards that said London on them because the little 12-year-old girl I mentor is named London. I was going to send her a postcard that said London
awesome.
every month. And they had that. And so that was the bag. They lost one of the 2 checked pieces of luggage, and that was the bag that had that in it. But it also had like a ton of other magic stuff I was working on. And so we get to Chicago, and I can't do half my show because stuff is missing. The pole on my table is missing because I had pack the show in 2 bags. So I borrowed a pole from the Chicago Magic Lounge because my table is built out of standardized parts, even though it's a custom table.
Smart.
So I got through Chicago, but I had to work on new pieces. I worked on the Himba rings when I normally wouldn't have because it's small and it's always in my carry-on. And so I developed that a little bit. And then we went to the Magic Castle, and I borrowed a table pole from them, which I accidentally stole for a month but did return.
Okay.
And it just was so crazy, and I kept messaging them, and I couldn't get a hold of them for weeks at a time because Norwegian in Chicago only flies like 2 days a week. They don't even have anybody there on staff.
Yeah, why would they? Right.
Yeah, except for a couple hours. So I had to call between these really specific times, and then they go, "Well, we couldn't find it, so we'll try again next week." And so after yeah, it was ridiculous. So after months and months and months and months and like 6 months, and Emily Gillette started retweeting, and people,
yeah, I think that's how I saw it blew up. So everyone was just like calling a ton of attention to it, which was awesome.
Yeah, because at a certain point they said, okay, well, you need to mail us in the mail. You need to mail us a claims form, and with your original claims sheet, which means that once I mail it, if it gets lost, it's over.
Yeah,
and,
right.
So I've already been out my luggage for 5 months, I think, and now I'm going to mail my only claims form at my own expense to Europe, which was $65 because I insisted on it being signed for. And then when they got it, they didn't approve my claim because I'm a magician. So there's stuff on there that says like Sketchpad, $300. No Sketchpad costs $300. Well, it does if it's a magic trick.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys.
I distinctly remember I had my entire show stolen out of the back of my car once. They broke the window. They didn't know what it was. They just saw like speakers and stuff. So but I remember filing the police report with the policeman, and I distinctly remember telling him that one of the items that was stolen was an invisible deck of cards. And I can remember the embarrassment immediately after I realized what I was telling someone who didn't know what I was talking about. And for those of you who aren't magicians who are watching, an invisible deck of cards is a name for a physical item, like an actual deck of cards. So it's kind of like when I talk about my wife's horse friends, and then I have to say, well, they're real people. They just have horses. It's like you have to remember, like, the conversation going on up here is sometimes different than what appears to other people. So I had you on the show because you said you had an awesome story, and I can't wait to hear it. So thank you, Carissa, for coming on the show. I'm going to full screen you, and let's hear your awesome story.
Sure. So before I was a full-time magician, I did lots of different things in the entertainment realm. I have still walked, I've made balloon animals, I had bubble shows, I've done lots. And for a short period of time, I was a street performer. And I credit a lot of, the success I've had with Lucy to the fact that I was a street performer for a short period of time. And that's very improvisational and you have to be very present. So I was on the road with 2 other street performers because I don't drive. I technically can, but I'm bad enough at it that I shouldn't. So it's me, Jimbo, who's a great cups and balls guy based out of Calgary, and Dan-tastic, a contortionist and juggler out of New Zealand. And the 3 of us are on the road together. And we're on the road together for a couple of months. So we get really close. We're touring, doing these shows, and I'm not doing a lot of anything because my show's very new, but Jimbo's cracking these shows out. Dan is cracking these shows out. Jimbo's doing like a really great cups and balls show. Dan-tastic show is a little weird because he is a contortionist and a juggler. So his finale is him juggling chainsaws with 50 clothespins on his face while reciting Shakespeare because he's a classy guy.
That's awesome.
But that also means that on the road, we have 2 magicians that are always talking and 1 non-magician. And we talk in lingo all the time. And so
yes,
not too far into the tour, we find out Dan knows a card trick. And Dan's going to show us this card trick by going up to a girl at the bar. And Dan at this point is mad crazy drunk. So he walks up to this girl at the bar and he's performing it to us, but he's doing it for her. And he goes, "What's your name, sweetie?" And she goes, "Susan." "Susan, I knew it was gonna be Susan, because I know everything about you. Because last night I had a dream. In my head, I had a dream. Susan, I had a dream. In my dream, I dreamt of you, and we're like soulmates, Susan. And in my dream, you knew. Soulmates. So anyway, Susan, you said in your dream that in real life you're like kind of skeptical and stuff, and so you said like, okay, here's the plan. Take a card and put it in your wallet, and then when you see me, I'll say the card, and then I'll know we're supposed to be together. And Jimbo and I are dying because we don't know where this is going. Like we're thinking he's just doing a bit. And so blah, blah, blah. Susan picks a card. She says 3 of diamonds. He reaches into his wallet. He pulls out a 4 of diamonds. And Susan goes, "That's not my card. It's off by 1. He goes, "That's right. So on the back I wrote, off by 1. And Jimbo and I die. We just die. Because it's a card trick. If you're a magician, this is a card trick called Devastation. But we didn't see this coming. It's so ridiculous. And it obviously doesn't work because she's a woman with a brain in her head. And it's the one trick Dan can do. And we've already been on the road with him for a while. And we find out this trick has been in his wallet this whole time. So we keep going on the road, and all the time, every time Dan gets drunk, because he knows it tickles us, he pulls it out and does this trick. Now, I don't love this trick. I think a trick that involves you being wrong. Oh, I predicted I'd be a little bit wrong. I don't know how much that fits into kind of my perception of what's good magic, but also I think it's colored by the fact that Dan is not the best magician. So we're on the road, we're touring, we go into bars, we do shows, blah, 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 blah. And we're at the point where we've seen each other's shows so many times that we'll stand on the side of the audience and we'll like mouth the lines along. And, and we watch each other's shows all the time. And Dan sees me and Jimbo on the edge of his crowd, on his front edge, kind of on the far side. And Dan sees us, and he's got 10 clothespins on his face. He's approaching the finale. And he sees us, and just to mess with us, he goes, "That's it. I hate all of you. You're the worst audience I've ever had." 10 clothespins. So close to the finale. And we die. We fall on the ground. We're laughing so crazy hard because we're like, what? It's out of nowhere. We know his show by heart, and we were so surprised.
Yeah, he's doing that for you.
He's doing that for us. And then to recover the audience, it was good. I've alienated each and every one of you. Now I have the joy and pleasure of winning you back. Again, we laugh. And the audience is kind of looking at him a bit weird, except for one guy. Now, this guy is like 3 people away from me and Jimbo, and he's laughing the way we're laughing, but he's not in on the joke. So I don't know why he's laughing, and we keep looking at him, but he's close enough that maybe people think he's with us, but not like maybe we got to fight. It's just a weird social situation where everybody, his whole crowd, this close to his finale is having the same thing, except for like us two and this weird guy nobody knows standing by himself. So Dan, to kind of, deal with the situation, he runs his finger across the crowd and goes, "You, sir, you remain unoffended. Your face is dumb." And I don't know what it was. But in that moment, that was 100% the best moment of the entire tour. I laughed so hard, I very nearly died. And then Dan had to like hobble to his finale with me inconsolably laughing on the ground. And it was such a great night and such a great memory. And then that night at the bar to like, put the nail in the coffin, he did the trick again. And it was such a great tour. We became so close. It was so lovely.
Oh, I love it. Your face is dumb is what he yelled?
Your face is dumb. Yeah. End of the tour, Jimbo and I go to drop Dan off in Vancouver so he can fly back to New Zealand. And this is the last time I'm basically ever going to see him in person. So big hugs, goodbye, lots of love. We sent him off, goodbye. And then Jimbo and I, because we're both based in Calgary at the time, we start the 12-hour drive back to Calgary. Now, I have spent every second I can spend with these boys. We have become super close. But as a result, I'm about to start a 12-hour drive knowing I have a gig in 18 hours. So this drive is a little bit stressful because I basically have to get out, shower, and then do my show. And about 6 hours into this drive, we get a call from Dan. Dan has left his wallet under the front seat of the car.
Oh, no.
So we pull over on the side of the road. I give Dan a call, and now we're negotiating. Dan, I have to go to this gig. Well, I need my wallet to get back to New Zealand. And we figure out a plan. We realize Dan is a street performer. He's got a suitcase full of money. He's fine money-wise. He has his passport, so he can fly back to New Zealand. And I promise that the second we get to Calgary, I will put this in a FedEx envelope and mail it to him priority,
Sure.
like 2-day priority. He'll have it in a couple of days. We agree this is an acceptable negotiation. I get back in the car. We keep driving. But it's 6 more hours. So I get kind of bored. And I start going through Dan's wallet. And I find the card trick.
Yeah.
So calmly, I take out a fresh deck of cards.
Oh, this is good.
And on the back of a 3 of diamonds, I write, "Your face is dumb." And I remove the trick from his wallet and I throw it out and I put my card into the wallet exactly where it should be. I reset it, the trick. I put it into a FedEx envelope when I get back to Calgary and I mail it to New Zealand. And I completely forget about it. Until 4 days later, I missed Jimbo a lot, so we went for sushi. And as we're walking out of the sushi restaurant, we both get the same text, and it just says, "F you."
And you knew
here's
instantly.
Here's the rest of the story as Dan tells it. Dan walks into a FedEx location in New Zealand, and behind the counter is what he describes as the most beautiful woman he has ever seen.
He didn't even leave the FedEx store.
No. He walks into the FedEx store. He puts his information down, and as she's looking for his package, he goes, "It's just on in tour in Canada because I'm a successful comedy juggler."
Right,
no
right.
reaction. I'm also a contortionist. No reaction. I do a couple card tricks. Suddenly, she's interested, and in that moment, he realizes this stunning woman is holding a sealed envelope.
Yeah.
Containing the only card trick
It's
he
the
knows.
perfect version of that trick. Absolutely.
It's perfect. He goes into his spiel. "Hey, I had a dream about you before I got on the plane. So I put my wallet in an envelope and I mailed it to myself because I knew you'd be here." She is eating up the whole thing. He has her name a card. 4 of diamonds. She rips open the envelope. He reaches inside, grabs his wallet. He pulls out the card. It's the 3 of diamonds. She says, "That's not my card. It's off by 1." She even says off by 1.
I love it.
And he goes, "Well, of course. That's why on the back I wrote." And staring back at him are just the words, "Your face is dumb." So he puts it back in his wallet. He closes up. He goes, "Never mind." And he
Oh,
walks
no.
out into the street.
Oh, no.
And he immediately texts us, "F you." And that was it. He never went back in there.
Oh, no. He didn't even show her.
Didn't even show her. And so that I realized a couple years later when I because I wasn't really doing a lot of magic then. I was mostly doing sideshow and I was mostly touring, doing circus. And it wasn't until a couple more years that I gave up my whole circus career to focus full time on magic. And when the first few months I was doing magic, I felt kind of weird about that because I felt that everybody I talked to in magic who was anybody had this amazing story about an uncle who showed them sponge balls when they were 6. And I didn't have that story until I remembered this. And then I realized, no, I do have a good story about the moment I knew I was meant to be a magician. And it was that moment when I got that text message, when I realized using only my knowledge of magic, I could effectively cock block my friend from a continent away.
That's amazing. That is a great, great story, Carissa. Holy cow. I love it because it's set up to be, like you said, the perfect trick. It's a sealed envelope that's been mailed all the way from Canada. It's ready to go.
It's in her hands.
It's like in her hands. And you know what? If that had been me, I would have showed it to her and treated the whole thing like a joke and salvaged at least a laugh, if nothing else. I would have said, "Oh yeah, I was wrong. Well, your face is dumb," or something.
Yes, you're a magician.
Yeah.
Not a juggler. A juggler is gonna go, "I dropped a ball. I dropped a ball."
That's true. Yeah. Well, yeah. And I've got a long history of doing magic and screwing up in order to know how to deal with these things and turning them into a way to save face, I guess. Wow, what a story. That's one of the all-time, I love magicians tricking other magicians stories. Dave Williamson has a million of these. He's
oh, yeah.
And my friend Dave McCrary here in town has a couple great ones like that as well. Those are just, I love hearing that. And I hope they're as interesting to non-magicians. I think the way you set that story up, that's awesome. Carissa, it is time for a segment we call What the Shit Is This?
Ooh, oh, graphics. This place is high production.
Yeah, oh, very, we spare no expense. What is this?
You, don't put that in your mouth. Let's find out.
Hi, kids. Why are we on television anyway?
We're here
This is
to
a
tell
Canadian
little story
PSA I
about why
found.
you shouldn't put things into your mouth when
Yeah,
you don't
there's
know
a
what
whole
they are.
lot of these,
And
but
why
this
you
is
should never
definitely
take
like
anything a stranger tries
one of the
to
more
give you.
ridiculous
Why
ones.
not?
Because if you ate somebody else's medicine, some bad food, or some poison, you could get very sick.
Ugh, I don't want to be sick.
And that's why before you eat anything, you should always ask someone you love if it's okay.
Okay, I love you. Can I eat the guitar?
Oh,
No,
that's weird.
But you can help me sing a song about eating things that don't belong inside you.
Okay, I was
Why would
really
you say
hungry
inside
anyway.
you
Well,
right
wait,
there?
maybe a little bit.
Okay,
You said
everybody.
eating
if you see
things.
something
I
that
can
you
sing
wanna
a song
eat
about eating
before you
things
do
that
anything,
don't belong
remember
inside
this
you.
song.
Don't you put it in your mouth. Don't you put it in
It's
your
so
mouth.
long.
Now
Can
they're
you
singing.
like move like this?
Yeah.
Though it
Why?
might look good to eat. Though it might look good to eat. And it might look good to taste. And it might look good
Oh,
to taste.
look at her eyes.
You could get sick
Cold dead eyes. Oh, God.
real quick. Real
Oh.
sick. Real quick. Don't you
Oh,
put
why
it
is
in your
Canada
mouth.
so weird?
It's long,
Till you
too.
ask someone you love.
It just keeps, this is second verse to a
If
jingle.
it's okay to eat. If it's okay to eat. Like a muffin or a
Why does she look like a horror movie monster? Oh, you can see the arm on the bottom of there.
Girls.
Oh, there's a creepy lion. Don't put it in
What
your
am I
mouth.
doing? I don't even like beets.
Then don't put it in your mouth.
Don't put it in
I
your
like how
mouth.
they deliberately,
Remember,
like
boys and
somebody had to
girls,
sit there and
never
go,
take
you know what this
anything from a
puppet is missing?
stranger, and
Shifty
don't
eyes.
put things in your mouth when you don't know what they are.
In order
If
for
you
this
eat
to, like,
somebody else's
appeal to children, it
medicine,
needs the-
or some bad food, or some poison, you could get very sick. Always ask someone you love before you put anything in your mouth.
Oh, always ask someone you love before you put anything in your mouth. It was like adults wrote that giggling, because some of the phrasing in that commercial, they're saying stuff like, you know, like you could just say like eat, right? You could just say before you eat something. Kids know what that is. Well, I guess not, because like if you put a Lego in your mouth, you're not eating it, but you're putting it in your mouth.
I suppose. I
They're-
think so. Here's the really weird part: is that why you should look up weird Canadian PSAs from that era, because there are tons of them.
Oh, I will.
There are a bunch of them, and they're all a little bit horrifying. The only one that's like not horrifying, but it starts with horrifying, is the house hippo one.
House hippos.
You know the house hippos?
That sounds familiar. I don't know if I know that.
They wrote it like it's going to be this horror thing, like the house hippo is going to murder you, and then it ends up being nice at the end. But so that's the only one that's like the reverse, like it starts out scary and then it's fine. But the rest of them are all either scary the whole time, or they're like, oh, a family, and then, oh no, a car. Like, they're horrible. And so here's the crazy thing, is that is the perfect era for me, because I watched that when I was legit a child.
Yeah. And did you put things in your mouth? I
mean,
I did. See, it's because of that commercial that you can't say definitively no, because that commercial didn't do its job because it was so creepy. It didn't, you know.
The thing is that as a kid, I don't remember thinking it was creepy. I just I was like, oh, puppets, and then there's a song, and then like we started singing it at school, and it was sort of silly. And then 6 or 7 years ago, I ran into it and was retroactively horrified on behalf of my 6-7-year-old self.
Yeah, trauma.
Why did they put this out? And what damage? Like, I wanted to bring it into my therapist and be like, what damage did you think this did? I don't know. You want to talk about it?
You know, every day I think about, like, if I had a time machine, where would I go? And today I would go back to the writers' meeting or whatever advertising agency meeting and see what they were smoking. And like, they're like, can we get some puppets? No, those puppets look too normal. I mean creepy ass puppets. Can we get some like blue, weird homemade puppets with angry eyes? And well, gosh, thank you so much for indulging my. That's the strangest one we've had yet, Carissa.
Oh wow! And it was Canadian. Okay,
and it was Canadian.
That's the one you've had. I encourage everyone here to please Google weird Canadian commercials. Watch the House Hippo one. Watch the
will now.
The car accident.
So, before we let you go, I'd love to offer, instead of just telling a story, if you want to go for a story and a joke, or the trifecta, a story, a joke, and a trick. Do you have a joke for us?
Do I have a joke? Oh, this is a good question. Okay, I'm gonna tell you my joke. Can it be like a joke?
Oh yeah, like a real joke, like a stand-up style joke, or
no,
you mean
like a dad joke.
Oh, all the jokes on this show are those style jokes. They're all jokey jokes.
This is my favorite one. This is my favorite jokey joke. Just because, anyway, I will explain why at the end. This is my favorite jokey joke. So, Higgs boson particle walking down the street.
Say it again. Start from the beginning.
Oh, the Higgs boson particle.
Okay. Now we got the nerds. Now we got the nerds with their ears perked up. Go for it. Sorry.
So he's like wearing like a blazer. He wanted to dress up that day. He's walking down the street, but it's hot. And he can't really take it off because he's been wearing it all day. And so now he's in this awkward position where he's like got like sweat marks and he's got the blazer. So he's like, what am I going to do? And then he looks over and he sees a sign beside him for this big building, this big, beautiful building. And it says, welcome, church welcomes all. And then in small little letters, it says air conditioning. And he's like, oh, great. So he goes inside and he sits in the pew and he just feels like the cool air. And he's like doing that thing guys do with their jacket, fluffing it up, and it's cooling his body down. And, it's like so refreshing. And like right as he like does that thing where you like go to close your eyes and just take it in, he hears someone go, hey! He scares him, startles him. He goes, hey, get out of here. And it's the priest. Get out of here. Aren't you the Higgs boson particle? They call you the God particle. That's sacrilegious. Get out. And he's surprised, but he's just, a cool guy. So cool as a cucumber. He just stands up and goes, hey, buddy, if you don't allow Higgs boson particles, how do you have mass?
It was pretty goddamn hilarious.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That joke is that joke can go two ways. Either you can just tell it, or you can. I've heard people tell that joke a few times where they just, it's all the details you add at the beginning.
I love it. I love long jokes that end in puns. Those are some of my favorite.
Story, kind of.
It is. And I have a few of those that I tell. I haven't told any of them on the show because on a live stream, it's really hard to do those long with all the details and the more details and the more details. But I have a few of those, and maybe I'll tell one of these days. I love it. You're 2 for 3. Do you have a trick?
I do have a trick, but okay. I'm gonna warn you that this is a trick I have never done before.
Wow, an exclusive.
Well, basically what I realized is that I thought I brought some tricks to do this from Edmonton where I'm staying, but I don't actually have anything. So I wrote this today.
Okay.
And it's made of stuff. The method is all stuff I found in the hotel. So
fantastic. It's great for
okay,
when
so
you
all I
lose your
have is-
luggage.
yeah, all I have is a deck of cards.
Okay.
So you and I are going to play a little game.
I'm going to look over here because I've got you full screen here. So that works
okay, great.
better.
So all I need you to do is to pick a card, but we're going to do it in kind of an interesting way. So black cards or red cards?
Red cards.
Red cards. So you want to eliminate the red cards, yeah?
Sure.
No, I mean, do you, or did you want those cards?
I was going to choose those, but it's it's your game. So
no, I mean, if you want them, that's fine. Okay, so we'll go with red cards. Whatever. So red cards, there are two suits, right? In red cards,
yes,
there are hearts.
Yes.
Right, and there are
diamonds.
Spades. I mean, spades could be red. Who knows?
I'm going to go diamonds. I'm going to put my foot down.
Okay, cool. Diamonds. Doesn't matter. That's fine. Okay. All right. So high cards like higher major arcana, Jack 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace, or like lower cards.
Lower cards.
Great. Lower cards. Which one do you want?
3.
3 of diamonds. Are you positive?
I am.
Crap. Okay. Let's 3 of diamonds. All right, let's see. Oh. 3 of diamonds. What?
It's incredible, Carissa.
Isn't it? I mean, hold on. Let me show you. It's just No, but here's a really crazy thing. 3 of diamonds. Let's stick that here for now. Only card in the deck, but there is one more thing in the deck. I don't know if you saw me when I went through it. There is one more thing. There was your card and a note for you, just so you didn't feel left out.
Oh my gosh, Carissa, that was so good. I almost got the right card for your story too. I didn't even think about that. I should have said 4 diamonds.
Could have been any card. It really could have been any card. But
that's so good.
If it helps to know, part of this method is coffee stir sticks.
What?
Because this is all I had in the hotel. I have this, and then can I show you one more thing?
Yes.
I was like, okay, what can I come up with? And so I got stir sticks, and I invented a trick. I thought that somebody already manufactures, but I made this. So you know these like flossers?
Oh yes.
I have like bags of these because I'm legit a compulsive flosser. I do it before every show because I have this nightmare that I'm gonna walk on stage and have like a green thing in my teeth, and that will be the picture that makes it into the paper or something. But like linking finger rings and stuff. Yeah, I've been working on it. So I worked on this thing, or if you just rub it, they look like.
That is cool.
I worked on this today. I made it again out of coffee stir sticks. Then I talked to my friend Bizarro because I was like, this seems like something Bizarro would market, and he's like, nope, that definitely already exists, but that's okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but that's great. Very, very cool. And you know what you just did? You just achieved the rare trifecta. And Carissa, you are the first. You are the very first. Now, not everyone has had a chance because it's just something I've recently been offering to people to allow, but you're the first. And we're going to create like a wall of trifecta or something, maybe in the credits. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you?
Oh, I am at CarissaHendricks.com. And if you're curious about the full show, and one of the things about the luggage story is that because I had to edit down so much, the show I did in Chicago, the 3-month run, was not the show I intended to write, but it's a show I'm really proud of. And when I was there, we filmed it like a Netflix special, and during the very beginning of COVID, we released it to the public. So for free, if you're interested, if you go to CarissaHendricks.com/indulgence, you can watch the full, slightly unedited, but we did take out some of the improv-y stuff version of the Lucy Darling Indulgence show.
So that's CarissaHendricks.com. That's Carissa with 1 R. And also check out Carissa. Are you still doing Shazam podcasts?
We are. We're still releasing stuff every Monday. We took this Monday off in solidarity, but we will be back next week with a bunch of stuff.
So great.
And Yeah.
So,
and also, there's also Spark Creative on Facebook, where there's about 500 of us, and we work on a new creativity prompt every week. We also took this week off in solidarity, but again, we'll be back next week.
So cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Carissa. One more time, everyone, Carissa Hendricks. Go follow her wherever you can. It's CarissaHendricks.com. Thanks again. So, oh my gosh, we've got lots and lots and lots of, let's see, let's look at comments. Ross McCourt says, OMG, this was to the story. Christopher says, Carissa, this story is so good. One of the best stories ever. Ryan Kane, Mark DiTullio both love the story. Christopher Mora wants to know who wrote the lyrics to that creepy ass commercial. Angie Wright says that's kind of scary. Angie Wright, what's up, Angie Wright? Good to see you. Stephen Michael Patrick says, how great is Canada now? Super great. Oh, Ryan Kane, that's a great line. He says, Ryan Kane said to that commercial, this is the side effect of single-payer healthcare. So good. Oh my gosh. Mark DiTullio says it's like watching a dubbed Kung Fu movie. Yeah. Stephen Michael Patrick, this has been fun. Let's go. Ryan Kane. Ryan says, this man is brave enough to read poetry on stream, but scared to tell a long-form pun. Listen, you got to be watching this show regular to get that joke. Joe Jane says, wash your hands. Wash hands, wash hands. I don't know what the reference there is. Mark DiTullio gives a thumbs up, and I don't understand what Steve Michael says. Steve Michael Patrick says, woo, happy cad. I don't know if he means card or what, but you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're almost done with the show. We are running a little bit long. Please do me a favor, and if you can, the only way I'm able to do this is through... I'm doing it for free, so I really do appreciate your donations. You can support my Patreon at patreon.com/Michael Kent. It's in the comments there, but I've pinned it on Facebook. Once more, that's patreon.com/Michael Kent, and you can join for as little as $1 a month, guys. That's not much. It's $12 a year. You're paying way more than that for Netflix, and you can come here every Tuesday and see live entertainment from people that you know, like me and my friends. So I really do appreciate, we've got a couple folks that have already signed up on Patreon, and listen, you know, if you've joined Patreon, you're going to see stuff before anyone else does. So the video, as soon as I finished editing it today, I threw it on Patreon. You know, it's only a 6-hour lead on what you saw here, but if you join at the $10 level, you get to see any show I do. So when I go back on tour, and in July, guess what? We're doing live actual magic shows on stage. And I'm going to set up a second iPhone, like a second camera at every show. And you're going to get to see every show that I do. Shows that you normally wouldn't be allowed to see. So anyway, it's patreon.com/Michael Kent. And with all of that said, you guys, the show's almost over. It's almost time to go. But we haven't done a trick yet, so it's that time. Oh, let me grab this. Okay. So I have a show a trick in my live show, in my stage show that I love to do, and I've figured out how to do it for this, for a virtual show, and it uses 2 ropes. Now, normally I would never tell you this, but what's going to happen is I'm going to be holding 3 ropes over here. And the 3 ropes that I'm holding here are going to change places with the 3 ropes that are over here. That's going to happen. I would never tell you that in a stage show. But for a video format, it needs to be said. The 3 ropes here are going to change places with the 3 ropes here. Your job is to see if you can figure out when it happens. That's all. We have to create all the ropes. I have a couple ropes. So, let's look at this with a zoomed in view so you can see. This is just a normal rope, you guys. There's nothing weird about the rope. It's literally just a piece of cotton rope. Nothing weird about it. And we're going to cut it into 3 pieces. Right about there. That's good. And it's important that these 3 pieces are somewhat even. That's pretty equal right there. So if I cut here, and I cut here, you get 3 pieces of rope that are the same length. See? 3 pieces of rope. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Now, again, important that you know these are the exact same length. If I bend them all in half like this, all the middles, they're all together. See that? They're all at the same spot. This rope, we're going to treat a little bit differently. We'll put it over my shoulder. Remember, these 3 ropes, exact same length. And these 3 same length ropes are going to go into the wine glass. This rope we'll treat differently. This rope, I'm going to cut, I don't know, maybe like here. And then we'll cut it, right about here. So you get a little baby rope, a medium rope, and a long rope. Little rope, medium rope, long rope. Now remember what I told you earlier about what was about to happen. If I pull up all the ends, you can see the 3 different lengths. See, there's a middle here, and a middle here. They're all different lengths. Watch. Three different lengths in the glass. Everyone, please give Carissa Hendricks a follow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, thanks to my special guest, Carissa Hendricks. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. Thanks for my Patreon followers, my Patreon subscribers. And guess what? We're done. We'll see you next week. See you later. Bye. Hey friends, over the years I've had hundreds of unofficial supporters. Now you can make it official. Join my Patreon, 4 different levels, tons of exclusive benefits, access, behind the scenes, backstage video, access to shows that you normally wouldn't get to see, producer support, credits, shout outs, VIP events, everything you can think of. And you can join for as little as $1 a month. So thank you in advance for your support. I love all of you.